comp that can still be viable, even at the level of Blizzcon.
Oh, for sure. It's such a, I mean, so much damage, and there's, you know, maybe not as much control as if that rogue were a mage, but the lockdown ability of a rogue is unparalleled.
It's a really good opener. Dakroth doing a great, or Drudenhouse very quickly got himself into combat straight from the start, so he wasn't sapped, which is going to cause Eru to be kind of falling back a bit, you know, a little bit behind on the damage.
And he actually ate a Hex almost instantly. I'm not sure if Drudenhouse even cast it. It just appeared, you know, it's a frog.
I mean, it looks like this is what's going to go. A trinket on the kidney, and maybe he saw that that smoke bomb coming, but there we have a coil on top. Lots of damage. Deep freeze onto the rogue right now.
Ooh, nice blanket silence over top of that death coil onto Drudenhouse. And he's going to be able to get away. You see Aereo there just running behind him, trying to stay on his target, looking at Rodriguez, saying, man, that mage looks tasty. There's just no way he's going to get to him and shut down that damage. This is exactly where they need to be. If anybody's going to take damage on game sense DNAW, it needs to be Dakroth. That's exactly what's happening. He's going to sit in that kidney. But you're going to see Rodriguez just pump damage into Areo's back while throwing those polys and decreases around to control the pace of the match.
So Eru right here is going to be on, feared away right now, but he's doing a great job of sticking onto his target. Dakroth trying to kite, you know, every little bit counts and using that Shadow Flame.
Oh, MLS is all about kiting when it comes to, you know, melee comps. If you can mitigate even one auto attack out of 5, you're mitigating.
That was a really smart Shadow Step right there. Shadow Stepping the totem that allowed him to get over towards the Shaman when he wouldn't have been able to if he didn't target that totem.
It's like he heard me say we need better Shadow Steps because that was about as good as it gets here on
Ring
Valley.
There we have Nature's Swiftness right there also out of Dreamhouse. I mean, healer-wise, looks like even though they are training him, he's having a little bit of problems.
It's like I'm watching a completely different game because I look over to Kimchi Man, I see their health bars, I see the dots active on them, and they're in an extremely good position, whereas Drudenhouse has used several major cooldowns, and he was sub 50 there for just a second, so they're playing a lot better. I think Kimchi filling out their opponents, waiting on those cooldowns for the exact right moment right now, and Areo's having much more success sticking to his targets, getting peeled a lot less, I'm noticing. And that's odd because Rodriguez has not been pressured.
Yeah, he's trying to fake that poly right there.
He does successfully fake it.
But it's like it didn't land on anyone or was broken instantly. So Rodriguez seems like he's not setting up the burst damage, you know, like you would expect a cross mage to in this setup. But it is good because they're playing conservatively. Because you saw the damage out of Kimchi Man earlier.
Rodriguez, he's making someone unnecessarily, you saw that hit Wing to Nova, and then he's had Deep Freeze up, and there's the Ring of Frost. He's really just peeling for his teammate. That's almost all Rodriguez is doing. Looks like he got hit once in proc Blazing Speed, so he just won the Mage lottery right there. Aereo does manage to get out of that Ring of Frost successfully this time and stick onto Dakroth. That's good because we've seen, you know, RLS versus MLS or RLS mirrors being able to shut down Warlock damage is a pretty big deal because Fear is one of the best CCs in the game. You combine that with the best dots in the game, you have a class to be feared. So I definitely like that they're putting pressure on Dakroth, but I think Rodriguez could use a little bit more CC on him, and Kimchi Man's going to run away with this because there's no way you're going to convert anything into a kill with a mage peeling his entire team, and he can do that.
Oh, and now we're going to have a switch. The Rogue is going to be looking at the Mage, because the Mage just sat there and channeled Frostbolt after Frostbolt after Frostbolt. Look at how fast that damage came out. Rodriguez, this team is doing an incredible amount of damage.
Yeah, I'm not sure Rodriguez is actually wearing armor. He's taking a considerable period of, or a considerable amount of damage for even a Frost Mage. Maybe Aereo is just doing tons and tons of damage, but I see him spike to 50 through one barrier, and that's pretty impressive coming out of a Rogue who has no opener on you. Aereo caught into a half hex right now, trying to mitigate some of the damage on Rodriguez. But man, maybe I'm secretly Korean because they got onto Rodriguez almost immediately after I said that, which is an awesome strategy. And as long as they keep this pressure up on him, if they can even ever get back to him, Shocky running hard back to his pillar. But honestly, he's probably going to be in an okay position. He's got line of sight there and several major cooldowns left.
All right. It's crowd control everywhere, but oh, look at that UA dispel right there. Shockey's taking a lot of damage, but he's able to, oh, the pillar just dropped, so he's going to lose his line of sight. Trying to keep a Dukin out. Man, this Shaman is amazing.
Yeah, I gotta say, all 6 players in Ring of Valor right now are pretty amazing. This is some of the best back and forth between the MLS and RLS.
Full counter spell on that Hex into a Sheep right there with a Dukin at half-life, but his life isn't moving.
Okay, Rodriguez, no trinket, but he's also got no hypothermia. meaning he's still got one major out, so he's not a viable kill target. And they're just pumping damage onto Dakroth there. Kimchi Man trying to go, and Hadouken taking a lot of damage. This is what we saw in the first Ring of Valor match. A lot of pressure out on Hadouken, and converted that into a kill.
All right, so that coil, not sure who went on. That was the last spell that he cast. I didn't see a coil on anyone on the team. Oh, counterspell onto Hadouken right there.
Ooh, Drudenhouse catches a silence into a cheap shot. Oh, and he's smoke bombed, and he does get out of it into that kidney. All of a 1 second kidney. Iryu eats an almost no second defreeze as it is trinketed sadly into a Nova. So he is peeled off of Druden, who's able to get away and toss some surges up.
Yeah, when you have to use Spirit Walker's Grace to get a single heal off, once you get a step away, you got quite in trouble. But look at that, Iryu down to 30,000 hit points right now, and a Howl of Terror onto both. That Tremor drops, knocking them both out. Okay. Iryu, even when he's low on life, is still shadow stepping right towards his target. Every single time, 30,000 hit points. There goes that cloak up, and the Spirit Link Totem dropped by, didn't do very much. I know, look at that, the Rogue taking a ton of damage.
And Hadouken's eating the silences here on this team, not Shocky. Shocky is standing, and then Imp CS onto Hadouken as well. So, Games since DNAW are going for pure offensive pressure, not even attempting to interrupt the heals coming in.
That Rogue is standing right on the edge of that ring. Drudenhouse down to 30,000 hit points, sat entirely through that kidney because he was able to get his totem so far came off. Oh, but 25,000, that fear could have been terrible. 20,000 hit points, he needs to get himself up right now, getting that Riptide. He's going to have an Unleash any second for a gigantic heal on himself. So he looks like he's going to survive through this.
Yep, and Rodriguez peeling.
Oh, but they're going to turn it right back onto the Rogue right now, down to 25,000 hit points.
He's got that
he's in dance right now.
Picked him back up from almost nothing, putting a lot of damage out on Dakroth. We'll see if he can swap over to Rodriguez here because he's got a lot of viable targets. And Iria, oh my god, Rodriguez
Dakroth
pumping damage into him. And there's the blind on Rodriguez, and he's going to cast Arcane Blast.
Oh, but there's a poly onto Shocky. He's right there. Iria down. There goes Cheat Death proc, and he's outside of the Spirit Link Totem. He's not going to get the heal. Did not get the heal from that. Excellent impact right there. If they can score a kill, he was an inch away from that totem.
Yeah, and look at that. Oh, here's the fears. Impressive play by Hadouken. Coming in here and taking down the very, very most important spells that Rodriguez was about to cast. Kill shot, the kill shatter from him, interrupted by Hadouken. An excellent peel on the Kimchi Man side.
Yeah, this match has been so exciting. I have no idea how long it's been. I'm not sure if the 15-minute rule is kicked in yet.
7 minutes.
Wow.
Pure
okay, I was completely wrong. All right, so we have Death Coil onto the Rogue right now, and it seems like every time that they have a instant CC that they can use, they're tossing it right onto the Rogue because he is doing a massive amount of damage.
I feel like that's going to come back to bite them, though. Locking down the Rogue's very, very, it's viable, but they could get on Shocky. They can force cooldowns on Shocky and take him down. Area force.
And there's another, every single time the poly, that cloak goes off, sprinting away. And but he's going to try to stick on his target. Deep freeze. There goes the trinket by 14,000. And look at that, a great counter spell. Gonna secure that kill.
Oh yeah, Shocky finally catching a silence. Rodriguez, good timing on Shocky, seeing him come out of that half poly. That's the kind of setup that Mage should have been doing for a while. I'm glad they got into the comfort zone, as it were, here on Ring of Valor, where they could do that and where they could maybe stop healing for Dakroth so heavy and Drudenhouse.
And now I understand why this Korean team was so confident in that video. These guys are playing RLS amazingly well.
Yeah. I mean, it's rare that you see a Rogue stand up to that much damage and that much CC on his teammates and stand the fight 8.5 minutes.
All right. So that means that GameSense DNAW 1-0 right now. And, they were the second place finishers in the European qualifier. And which means that, they've seen a couple of the teams that they're going to have to face, or rather one team that they have to face. These guys are relatively new, though. Haven't seen them before at all these tournaments. They were talking before about how they might think that that's a disadvantage, because another definitely had experience before, and so did Fabio. Like, a lot of experience.
Yeah, tons and tons. But, you see these guys, this GameSense team just sort of rolling in and making, their own rendition of MLS. And it was a lot more offensive pressure than I was expecting. Less finesse, less about the overlapping CCs, and more about just constant pressure, constant decision-making on the Kimchi Man side of things. And they made the right decisions for about 8 minutes and 15 seconds straight, which is very impressive on Ring of Valor.
All right, I'm going to get these players right back in. There we go. Okay, second round is going to be on Blades Edge Arena. And these are all very important at this point because, we've seen a couple teams lose some rounds. We watched Team EG lose 2 so far.
Yeah.
Which means that when it comes down to it, the points are going to matter right towards the end.
Oh, for sure. And, you know, Skillcat is actually sitting pretty good there at the top. Like I said, that to be happening. I didn't expect them to be in first place with a near perfect record. So, yeah, there's been a lot of really interesting developments here. And this particular tournament, you know, definitely the round robin gives you an opportunity to see everything that could happen. You know, if we were in bracket play, we might not see some of these incredible matches at all, based, you know, just solely on the bracketing. But now we're definitely seeing why these teams are here, thoroughly impressed by EU and Korea alike. And, you know, we're not even touching on the other regions.
Yeah,
we don't even need to.
We focus on the European versus American rivalries so much that, I mean, these Korean teams are great.
Yep, and it's easy to forget that, you know, there's a lot of foreign teams playing in this tournament. It's easy to overlook them and not cheer for them. But then you sit down and watch a match like this and you realize, you know, like, these guys are incredible, straight up. And that Ring of Valor match is a pretty good indication of where MLS and RLS is and how both of these teams are pretty even footing.
All right, look at that early tricks. He wants to get out the damage if possible from those initial dots. All right, and now we have a sap onto Dakrov right there.
Still, kind of unfortunate for him, but Dakrov did eat that sap. Rodriguez with, looks like Icy Veins up, and Full Proc's going to do tons of damage.
Counterspell onto a Dukin right there with a Fear onto Iruk, who's only using evasion so far, with a Hex followed up for Dukin. And there's a pretty big Fear right there, that Howl of Terror hitting 2 people, but does fade, and a coil onto Shockeys. I mean, they are putting the crowd control out a lot quicker this time.
Yeah, and Shockey, there's his trinket gone to that deep freeze. And, you know, everyone was topped off. I'm not entirely sure why he trinketed a 3.1 second deep freeze. Probably afraid that he's going to get spiked down too hard. But Aryu actually caught in a vanish now.
And there goes his vanish.
Yeah, that's 2 stealths he's been taken out of.
He's not having very much luck this time, and but he's constantly on his target because, you know, Blade's Edge, there's not much room to move if everyone's going to stick onto the top.
Yeah, but this is an excellent map for MLS because at any point they can take the game down bottom and just kite you on ramp, especially Rodriguez.
But the damage has returned. Looks Rodriguez, excellent heals by Dreamhouse right there. Kind of afraid he was getting down to half, but there's a cloak out of Irus. And that means he's not going to have very much left. A Fear that isn't going to be broken because his trinket is down by Shotkeys.
Yep, he was able to get out of it, and he was able to stay up and sprint back across the map to get over to his side, and Dukin falling back as well. So there looks like they're going to go for a little soft reset here on Blade's Edge. They're trying to bait Rodriguez into this because they're going to roll dots on him and Dakrov. They really need to put some more pressure out on Rodriguez. He's the one throwing down those big rings and Novas and COC roots and everything that's just making it impossible for Iria to stay on his target.
Yeah, Iruk right there, playing patiently enough to get the re-stealth off and then open back up onto his target. Dakrov they've been training him non-stop, except for when Rodriguez kind of gets out of position.
Here you stepping either to a pet or a poly opponent. I'm not really sure.
Gonna try to do it again right here.
A good gap closer.
Oh, and that Blizzard, excellent play by Rodriguez right there, denying that re-stealth, followed by a freeze, which means that Rodriguez is gonna pump a lot of damage out with the help of those fingers.
This is MLS at its finest. Drudenhouse sitting back having a casual drink.
Oh, wow, look at that spike damage with the coil on top of it. No CC on his Shockeys quite yet, and he didn't even have his trinket up. That would have been an excellent time, but there goes the damage.
To the face.
Wow.
Wow, dude. Yeah, Rodriguez was waiting on that one. You could tell. The second he started catching that heal, bam, it was done. And this is what I'm saying. You cannot let a mage stand there and just channel everything on you. That was classic MLS on Blade's Edge. Drudenhouse was so okay on health and everything. He just sat back and drank. Rodriguez and Dakrov basically just 2v3.
And that Spirit Link totem split second after the rope died. That is depressing right there for the team of Kimchi, man. But hey, man, these guys played excellent.
Yeah, incredible matchup. About as fast-paced and intense as I had foreseen. Let's hear it. Let's hear it for game.